Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. I love fall and harvest festivals. I've been to different forms of harvest festivals from New Mexico to Germany and points in between. Cool weather, good food, corn mazes, maybe a small amount of beer or wine, music, games, rides, friendly people, entire families enjoying themselves together, artisans showing off their various skills. You can find such festivals all over the world, in small towns to big cities. Even county and state fairs have their origins in the harvest festivities of times past. There is one aspect of fall festivals which is rarely to never discussed. This is the fact that fall festivals largely have a basis in some level of socialism. Of course, capitalists will argue against this concept, but their arguments will quickly fall flat in face of the evidence. Through most of history, when harvest time came around, the harvest was not simply a bounty for the farmer, nor was the labor only for the farmer or farm workers. Communities thrived or died based on a successful harvest. Entire religious belief systems and superstitions arose, which included sometimes brutal practices, including animal and human sacrifice, to ensure a good harvest. Wars have been waged over agricultural production. If farmers did not have a good harvest, that could mean not enough food for the entire community. Likewise, it meant less, if they did not have a good harvest, it meant less to trade with other communities. One bad harvest could destroy a community entirely. Refrigeration did not exist until the early 20th century, nor did many of the canning methods or preservative chemicals used today which allow for long-term food storage. Once harvest time did come around, crops had to be harvested and stored in some ways as quickly as possible to prevent spoilage. For this reason, at harvest time, it was not only the farmer and farm laborers involved in the harvest, it was the entire community. Shops and schools closed. Every more able-bodied member of a community would be out in the fields to help with the harvest, which was extremely heavy work. Lines of horses and carriages would be along the roads to carry the crops into town, where the next stage would already be in place. The older, youngest, and less able-bodied members of the community would be working on cleaning, shelling, smoking, drying, cooking, and canning the products of a harvest, making food suitable for winter storage, and possibly trading with other communities that produced other crops and foods and other items needed for survival. I will not make this sound like a vegetarian event. Fall was also a time of slaughter for meat. In harsh winter conditions, many animals will not survive, and meat was an important part of the diet. Meat had to be processed, salted, and smoked for winter storage. This is where sausage, ham, and so forth come from. The salt and spices were not just for flavor, but helped preserve the foods. Wine and beer were made popular in times and places where water was unsafe to drink, while alcoholic beverages were far more safe while providing caloric support in cold climates. Crops with high sugar content were prepared into mash for these alcoholic beverages. Fruit juice, which was not fermented, was simply not a thing. It would not store. Once all the work was done, this is where the festival part began, when the community would join together to celebrate a good harvest and rest from all the work they had accomplished. This also offered chances for social engagement. The combination of hard labor and social contact allowed communities a greater opportunity to know which members of their community could be trusted to lend a hand when needed, and in general allow for greater bonding of the entire community. It was a time of sharing, laughing, dancing, singing, and hopefully relaxation in the knowledge that the community would survive until the first spring crops of the following year were mature. A big thing to keep in mind is that the historic practices I mentioned still take place in smaller communities, especially in lesser developed countries, such as many South American countries. Shops close, entire communities take part in the harvest, vehicles line up to transport produce, fires and ovens are lit to process food, and when the work is done, they have a community party. The ongoing existence of that community largely depends on a successful harvest. Of course, this description does not apply, it does apply only to freer, less capitalistic communities. In more capitalistic societies, one would have historically seen slavery and feudalism, where the bounty of the harvest went almost exclusively to wealthy landed gentry and slave owners. There is no genuine comparison which capitalism offers or has ever offered to such community efforts and cohesion. Today, we still have slavery and feudalism in the form of suppressed wages enforced by the modern definition of the landed gentry. Even where slavery and feudalism did not exist, much of the community labors which led to bonding were decreased or destroyed by the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution did indeed increase agricultural output, but it did extreme damage to the societal cohesion which came from communities working together. National and then global trade have led to wealthier nations losing the hopes and fears which were once shared by communities that relied on healthy agricultural production at the local level. You can drive through America and see many small farming and ranching communities which have failed as a result of capitalistic globalization, corporate factory farming, and agricultural importation from less wealthy nations, generally. Many say our health has deteriorated as a result as well. One thing which is certain is that we are less connected to one another on a personal human level. We are less aware, many are less concerned if our neighbors go hungry. We've lost many of our survival skills related to cooking, canning, preserving, which were passed down by previous generations. We've lost the social connections from shared labor that led to celebration and trepidation. We could and should regain many of the skills and practices involved that once brought communities together. We just have to put in the effort to do so. The information is freely available. In that effort, we may well find we regain other things we were not expecting to regain as a society, though we will not do so by relying on and believing in nationalist, isolationist, competitive, confrontational, aggressive, apathetic, sociopathic, capitalist ideology. We can only do this as a society, as a community. And we can do this. So if you ever attend a fall festival and feel an odd familiarity, a comfort in it, it may well be some distant genetic song singing through your veins from times past. Enjoy it and give it free rein. Just keep in mind where these things originate from and make others aware. Our awareness of one another, of the contributions of ourselves and others to our communities, of our true history, is the greatest gift we can give ourselves and each other. Our efforts, our fears, our hopes bind us together. They are what make a community a community. Think about these things. Really think about these things. Share this video. Talk about these subjects. Enjoy your fall festivals. Really enjoy them. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel, and I will catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.